Hello, Tech Pros, episode 252. Welcome to the podcast where we explore the opportunities, challenges, and anxieties that technical professionals and techpreneurs face when building their career, building their products, and building their business. This show is about the people behind technology and the mindsets and skill sets they developed that led to their success. You can learn more about this podcast and our guests at hellotechpros.com and about overcoming social anxiety at anxietynerd.com. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Krish Subramanian. Hey, Krish, how's it going?
Hey, Chad. Excited to be on the show. Thanks so much.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you. There's not a whole lot of international people. Most of the people that I have on the show are from the U.S., but I've looked at the stats, the download stats just recently, Krish, and like 60% of my audience, about 60% of the audience is in the US, but 40% of the audience is worldwide. So we've got people in China and in India and in Bulgaria and Russia and Siberia and South America and all over the world listening to us. So I think it's really, really awesome that you are an international person yourself, and maybe you can speak to a lot of questions that some of my audience members have who work and who run their businesses internationally. I think we're going to address a lot of the things that they fear or they want to know about how to start a business when you're not in the U.S. So I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Fantastic. Let's talk about that.
Awesome. Well, first, let me introduce you to the audience. So Krish Subramanian is the co-founder and CEO of Chargebee, a subscription billing solution for online businesses. Krish is in charge of business development, overall marketing, customer acquisition, communications, and brand management. And while at it all, Krish continues to remain a member of the customer support team, which is fantastic. I love that blend of customer support and marketing and customer acquisition. Because listen, one of the things I've learned about an entrepreneur is your best outreach of new customers comes from your existing customer base, right? So if you can listen to your existing customers, help them on their customer support side, answer their questions, solve their problems, hear their concerns, and then address them, man, they will be your biggest champions in order to go out and find you new customers. So I love how you're doing that. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about Chargebee. What is Chargebee? So it's a subscription billing solution for online businesses. What does that mean?
Sure. Chargebee is a billing solution, billing and invoicing system built for recurring revenue businesses on top of payment gateways like Stripe, Braintree, PayPal, and all the payment gateways to help you collect payments online. So the difference is there has been FreshBooks and QuickBooks, which does in basic invoicing, right? But as we know, most of the new software companies are software as a service where we need to collect payments month on month. And that requires new way of actually collecting payments from customers. So it's not just collecting one-time payment from 1,000 customers, but actually collecting 1,000 payments every month from these customers at, let's say, a $50 or $100 price point, which requires a different billing system that is needed. So Chargebee helps automate the entire billing process with a plug-and-play solution and helps generate the invoices and also automatically collect the money and put it directly in your bank account. So that is what we do as a core of our business. We help automate the billing operations.
Gotcha. So when I think of recurring billing, I'm thinking of some of the software as a service products and applications that I've subscribed to, right? So Netflix and some of my social media accounts and advertising accounts, right? These things I'm paying every month the exact same bill. I'm paying $50 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month, whatever the charge is. But on their end, they're going to have some sort of they're going to have their payment gateway, and they're going to have their billing software, and they're going to have things that send me invoices and reminders and receipts and all that kind of stuff. And so you guys are in that position to help other SaaS companies in order to charge and bill their customers?
That is correct. That is cool. Absolutely right.
Awesome. Cool. So where did this idea come from? Where did the idea of Chargebee come from?
Okay. So before the idea, I think for us, it was the team. So we came together as a team, and then we looked at, okay, which ideas can we start working on, right? So to step back a bit, I want to talk about a bit about the team and why the product, right?
Good.
The idea, specific idea. So this was started by me and three other co-founders. One of them was my college classmate and buddy during engineering days, and we worked in different companies for more than 10 years. So I started off with working in a startup, and then for 9 years after that, I worked in big IT services companies and consulting. My co-founder worked in product companies all through. He built network management products, and later on went on to build SaaS products from 2006. And he was working in product company called Soho. And the two other co-founders who also had worked with him in various capacities before that. So we all know each other through this common network of two classmates and then his extended network. And that's how we came together. But once we decided to start together, we had more than 10 years of experience, and for us, the team came first. We said, okay, so we are going to build this product. We are going to build something, and it's going to be in B2B space because that is what we understand because of the past history of 10 years of experience. And then we wanted to pick something where we would be able, where people would pay for that product, right? Where we build something for businesses, and it's a pressing need or a problem that customers want to pay for, and that is what we wanted to solve. And when we looked at our strengths, all of us were software engineers, and we started off looking at two, three ideas which are relevant, right? So for me, when we pick an idea, so I'm in hindsight, I'm able to explain this better, but I don't know how we actually picked it. But I'll actually say that anyways, right? So when we looked at some of these things that were happening, one is in 2011, 2012, we could see that with AWS, Heroku, Engineer, and other infrastructure players, the cost of actually hosting a product anywhere in the world was coming down significantly. We no longer needed like $50,000 to host a data center ourselves, right? We were able to just spin off a server anywhere in the world. We have the entire infrastructure running out of North America, and when we started off, we were running on it literally free because it comes to the free instance, right, to run your website. So we looked at the convergence of cloud as a leveler of the playing ground when it comes to building global businesses. Second is cloud itself was bringing new types of businesses that were coming in, right? No, people are no longer building installable software, right? It's mostly the consumption habit of the customer is changing completely, right? Like Netflix, you pay $10 a month and you're good, right? You're very comfortable with actually paying that instead of buying DVDs.
Right.
The same way, we are actually doing that with Zoom Car or a Zip Car, where you can hire car by the hour instead of actually having to rent by several months or days, right? And even when we purchase like the hybrid cars, we are able to lease the car instead of purchasing the car outright. Now, the consumption behavior of the customer is changing as you as an individual consumer as well as business, right? And then there is a third aspect of the all the software that is getting built is all on the cloud or it's on the mobile. Then there is a third aspect of being able to collect payments online. So when we see some of these things together, right? So it's actually the same old problem that exists all the time, which is everybody needs to get paid. They need to collect invoices. They need their operations streamlined. The operations could be CRM, help desk. It would be billing and invoicing, keeping your books, accounting, any of that. And we looked at some of these problems and then which other players are there in the space. And we saw that billing as such is still not a solved problem for most people. Many people think it's something I could do internally, and then they start off with a hack and pack solution. And then once you start scaling beyond the 20, 30 customers, then it becomes an overhead. Then you need to hire an accounting person or an operations person to manage it. And that is still an inefficient process. We could see that people were building on top of the payment gateways. And only some of the enterprise companies had access to certain solutions. So the convergence of these two, three problems are opportunities. At the same time, the same problems that needs to be reinvented and solved in a better context if that is relevant to the current world. We looked at single sign-on, we looked at monitoring systems, and then we actually picked billing because we could see that there is so much of innovation happening that needs to be happen in payment gateway, but payments is not our core strength when we started off. We said, okay, so billing is something that we understand better. And it's more of a SaaS problem rather than domain expertise or anything, right? So we started solving software as a service problem around subscription billing, and that is our entry point, and then we expanded from there.
Fantastic. I love the fact that it started with a team, right? So many companies, they start with they start with a product idea. They start with a get rich quick scheme. They start with someone at a conference said, "Hey, I'm struggling with XYZ," and they go, "Hey, if there's one, then there's got to be 10. If there's 10, there's 100. If there's 100, then there's 10,000 people in the world that need this problem." But it really started with just let's get four people together, four people who can work together, who have industry experience, who respect each other, and who want to build big things, who want to start their own business, and take all the experience that they've learned in the industry and working in IT departments or technology companies, bring those together, and now let's decide on what we want to build. And so as you put this company together, it sounds like a really interesting time in the world. As you said, in 2011, 2012, right, the commodity prices of hosting and of storing your applications and the whole world moving to mobile and moving to SaaS. Very interesting time to start your own software as a service company because it's just there. I mean, like as you said, like all the software is in the cloud, all the software is being driven mobily, and it's just where it's at. So this particular space of billing is pretty interesting. I think it's very interesting because of the commoditization of the cloud and because of mobile, there's so many companies launching new SaaS products all the time. So many new SaaS companies being launched all the time, and there's probably a lot of our audience members today who are tuned in, who are either working on their SaaS product or have already launched their SaaS product, who are thinking, man, yeah, like the billing stuff is tough, or I've got a billing solution provider, but what's it going to do when I scale or when I change markets or when I expand or so forth. So let's see. Let's nerd out. Let's geek out a little bit because I think this episode is going to be a little bit about product development, a little bit about business development. We'll try to weave both of those aspects in here. So as you started building your application out, I know there's a lot of software developers on the call today who are like, okay, let's hear the nuts and bolts. Like, how did you build it? So what kind of development stack are you on?
Sure. So it's a Java development stack. Initially, we started off trying to so the entire team had built products on Java in the past. And so initially when we started off, the team also got started with Ruby on Rails, thinking maybe it will accelerate things and then we can do it. And within some 3 to 4 weeks, I was working on a few conversations with prospects who can come on board. And there was this learning curve with the stack itself. And the team actually figured that billing with all the security nuances that are required and then the scale of operations and all that, we decided to actually stick to the Java stack and then throw away the 3-4 weeks of work when it comes to the product development and then built everything with a custom framework and the Java stack. But having said that, we have so everything is hosted on AWS. We use RDS because even though there is a DevOps skill internally, we decided to use RDS because it comes with its own distinct advantages of backup and so many things that they do really well when it comes to using MySQL and their proprietary database. So we decided to build on that. Mm-hmm. But the product has a REST API with support for 6 or 7 languages on the REST API with library bindings.
Okay, great. So that's exactly a great segue. So that's what I want to talk about next. Is so on your side, your stack is the Java platform and all that good stuff. But the companies who are going to integrate your product, what is the how much technology do they need on their end? Is it as simple as how simple or how complex can it be?
Sure. So the record for launching the product with Chargebee, setting up the pricing is actually 30 minutes from one of the customers.
Nice.
So you don't have to actually do any development at all, where you can plug in to Chargebee just like how you would put a PayPal button. So if you have a website and the pricing page and you have subscribe button, you can actually come into Chargebee, create the plans, the 2-3 plans. You can call it basic, pro, and then premium. And then when you set the price, you get a hosted URL, and then you grab that URL and link it to the subscribe button. You click on it, then you will actually see a secure hosted page that actually launches, that gets redirected to, where the customer will be able to enter the card. Now, if you want to make the page look exactly like your website, we actually provide themes. Like, you think of it like a Shopify kind of thing, where you can create your own page. Just the same way, you can actually make your checkout page exactly look like your website and customize it. So if you have a little bit of design skills and CSS and all that, then you can actually rebrand it and make it exactly look like your website. And plug in your payment gateway account and go through the checklist of 10 points that we have, and you're good to go. So the record is 30 minutes, and sometimes it takes as much as 3 to 5 days if you want to integrate, test with the API and launch it. It might take anywhere between 2 to 5 days, depending on how much complexity you have around the billing use case.
Got it. So if we've just got a maybe our MVP out there, our minimal viable product, or we've got a very simple integration, we don't need a lot of bells and whistles. It's literally as easy as setting up a PayPal account. However, if we want to customize it, if we make it, where it is a seamless integration, everything looks like it's hosted on our end, and we're just passing all the data back and forth, then there is some development time in order to do that integration. So what does that integration look like from the consumer developer's standpoint, right? So they're using some of your REST APIs to do that?
That is correct. So, we provide 3 different types of integration. One is a fully hosted page integration, where the plug and play integration that also comes with custom domain, so you can actually make it look like your website. The second is API with iframe embed, which is you can use the API and still offload all the security risks to Chargebee of handling card and other information, and still use the power of the API to give a complete in-app experience to your customers. The third is fully API-driven integration, where you control the entire customer experience inside your website or application, and let Chargebee, and then use the complete Chargebee API for card transmission or upgrading the customer self-service, everything you can actually use the API. So those are the 3 different types of integrating with Chargebee.
Awesome. Good stuff. Krish, in just a moment, I want to talk about the dynamics of your business, your specific business, meaning the location of your business, right? Because you've got customers, a lot of your customers, as we talked about before the call, are in Silicon Valley, they're in San Francisco, and you guys are located in India, and then you've got other workers across the world. So in just a moment, I want to talk about how you built a location-independent business that serves customers in a different market. But first, we'll take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by you, the audience. Instead of looking for new corporate sponsors, I've decided to adopt a pay-per-value model. What that means is you decide on how much I get paid. If you're just browsing and have yet to get value out of the show, don't feel obligated to pay a darn thing. However, if this podcast does its intended job of helping you build your career, build your products, or build your business, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. Pick the level of recurring donation that matches the level of value you get out of this show, or make a one-time sponsorship for that big aha moment that have helped turn things around for you. Become a sponsor today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor. Okay, we're back with Krish Subramanian. Krish is the co-founder and CEO of Chargebee, a subscription billing solution for online businesses. We've been talking to Krish about how he started the company. He and his 3 co-founders came up with the idea after first coming together and just deciding that, hey, we're going to be, we're 4 smart people that have a lot of industry experience and a lot of great ideas. We want to start a company based around the culture of these 4 individuals and then come up with the right product. And then we've talked to Krish about how he started the product, what this company is, what they're doing there at Chargebee, what the dev stacks and the integrations to your SaaS products, if you have software as a service, or if you have some other kind of technology that requires recurring billing, right? How that works. But Krish, one very unique aspect to your business is that you guys are hosted in India, right? Or you live in India, but you do a lot of your work in Silicon Valley. You're constantly going out to California. So how does that work? How does it work when you're building a company in India or in somewhere else, but your customers are located in the US?
Sure. I think that's becoming more and more common with the ability to host products anywhere, right? Especially with the AWS and other cloud providers, it becomes very easy to let you host the software anywhere in the world. So to your question, so Chennai in India is my home, and that is where we all grew up, and we worked there for a long time. So I worked in US for about 3.5, 4 years, and then briefly in France and UK. But decided to go back to India to start the company at that time. But it still took like an year and a half, 2 years before we could get off the golden handcuffs and start the company. But it was more of it was not even a question for us as to where the company should be, because we just decided to build a company for long term, putting all our 10 years of savings. So we just wanted to keep the burn rate low. So we started there. In fact, we even took one of the colleagues' apartment. So he was still a bachelor at that time. So we just put a screen in his apartment and said, okay, this side is your home, and then this side is the office. That's how it started. But we were very clear that it is going to be a global business from the beginning. Because the relevance of the problem we are solving is global in nature. Recurring billing in the context of India or credit card payments was a regulated space, so we did not. So we decided that it's going to be a global play. And then it comes a question of, okay, how are you going to acquire customers, right? So, so the product is hosted in the North Virginia data center of AWS in multiple locations, with backup in Europe and all that. But at the time when we launched, we have always been in the North Virginia data center, because that gets the latest updates from AWS all the time, as a first point where they roll it out. And then we started building team around us. And only after we built the team for more than, I think, the product for a year and a half, it took a long time for us to launch the product, for a year and a half or so. But once we started getting customers, we actually hung out in different forums and HackerNews and other places where we would actually be part of the discussions, and then that is how we acquired customers. And straight away, the first customer himself was from UK, and that is how it got started, with a few first few customers coming through his references in UK and so on. So it started off as a global one from the beginning. But because the customers are the customers are in 45 countries, more than 3,000 customers in these locations, with 50% customer base in US. We actually augment the team in a way that it's structured as so engineering works during their own time, which is during their daytime. So because two of the founding team members are still focused on heads down product development, and they all work during the day hours, or at least from the late in the morning till late in the evening. And then there is customer support that is kind of round the clock on weekdays and very lean in the weekend. So that team actually works in shifts. I used to work till early morning, like 2, 3 a.m., which is how I was actually doing customer support in the initial days when I was traveling. And then when we started building the team around it, the team just picked it up, where they would work in 3 shifts during Asia Pacific time, Europe, and then US. The sales is we have a very lean sales team. It's more of an inside sales, which acts as an account management to help you with the demo evaluation of the product. So we have a 3-4 member sales team, and then there is a 5-member design team, design plus front end development, and the customer success team, right? So and then there is a 7-member marketing team that works with me during the daytime. So that's how we are structured, and we kind of spread ourselves across the globe, starting from the Australia time zone through US.
Fantastic. I love every story that starts with, we're going to build this product lean, and we're going to do it, from our houses. We're not going to bring in bazillions of dollars in funding before we write a line of code. We're going to really just work on this selves because we're passionate about it, and we think it's got potential. So we're going to turn our bachelor guy, his home into one of our offices. That's fantastic. I love that story. So, but what I found really interesting about this is you found your first customer on HackerNews and other forums, right? So you are online, you're talking to people, you're chatting about some of the problems and some of the opportunities that they have. How does it come up in conversation when you're like, oh yeah, you're struggling with this. Well, I actually have a product that we're working on in my friend's kitchen, right, in his kitchen and dining room, that we're working on, that I think it can help you, and I would love for you to be our first customer. Is it just as natural as the way I said it, or was there something more to it than that?
Fantastic question, right? It goes deeper than deeper than the conversation that happens after you have the solution. It actually goes back to why the solution. So I think of myself more as a consultant than a marketer or a salesperson. So the fundamental thing here when we build a product is, when we all talk about why we are building the product, we actually talk about the convergence of ideas and then why the problem needs to be solved and so on. But once we have the solution, we tend to forget the context, right? But when we actually launched, we had a website and then had a sign up form where we said, okay, sign up for beta, but that is not enough for people to just stumble upon it through organic search, right? So the way I did not write any code at all as part of the team because I was the worst programmer in the team, so they kicked me out. Saying, "You take care of
I love it. That's why I became a podcaster, honestly, because even though I suffer with social anxiety and I have a fear of meeting new people and talking to new people, I'm still better at that than I am programming. So there you go. I feel you.
Right. Yeah, so no, I excused myself from programming because I could see that I am going to get intimidated by these guys, and then I took up everything else, which is somebody had to focus on marketing, sales, support, administration, finance, making tea for everybody, right? So I started doing that, and so as part of this exercise, when they were actually building the product over a long time, I used to actually hang out in payment gateway forums, HackerNews, Stack Overflow, and different forums where people were asking questions in the absence of your product. What is it that people are struggling with, right? So I found that there were people who would be using payment gateway like authorize.net, and saying, so I have this PayPal account or authorize.net account, and I need to collect payments from my customers month on month. Which are the solutions that are available, right? Or how do I do this on top of this payment gateway? And they would ask a question. And I would actually go and then genuinely try to help them with, if they have to build their own internal solution, what should they do, right? I would just go and explain that in that place, saying, okay, here is what you should do. If you're using PayPal, put the subscribe button and then link to this page. PayPal has this option for recurring billing. Yes, it's not ideal, but then here is how you do it. And here's what you should do. By the way, if you're checking out for a better solution at some point later when you're scaling, you should subscribe to us, and then I'll let you know when we are launching. If you'd love to beta test it, then I'll let you know, right? So be genuinely helpful. Say what you try to attempt to solve the problem genuinely, and then you also sign off saying, okay, I'm also trying to attempt to solve the same problem. Maybe you might want to check it out later when we are ready, right? So you're asking for permission to reach out to them when you're launching. So that is how we built like a list of 400, 500 people who were ready to try the product when we are ready for alpha. Now that building that took a lot of time, but at the same time, when everybody else is building the product, what are you going to do as a business person, right? So other than making tea, right? So you actually hang out in forums, try to answer questions, and that gives us better context of what people are struggling with really right now, right? What makes them want to say, yes, I would like a better solution, or what makes them frustrated with the current solution. Now, all those aspects also teaches you a bunch of things about what should you say to get their interest, to pick their interest, and then to sell them something, right? How to take away the objection. Now, those are things that we learn only from customer support or consulting, and then apply those skills back into the marketing or the sales copy. So that's how I look at it.
Dude, that's genius. That's brilliant. I love this conversation because normally when we talk about software as a service, when we talk about software, when we talk about any kind of technology that we're building and trying to market, just as you said, sometimes once we come up with a solution in our own heads, in our own minds, on our own whiteboards, then we tend to forget what people are struggling with. We tend to forget the context of why we came up with this and what specific questions people are asking, what specific problems people are struggling with. And we just say, oh, this solution, it's going to be great and it's going to be awesome. And then sometimes when we put it out there, it's like, why is the world not getting it? But I love the strategy that you have of really spending a lot of time, like dedicating a lot of your time, your time in the business of being there in the forums and just trying to be helpful, right? And it's not necessarily about, hey, will you pay $100 to me to solve this problem? It's no, here's if I were you as an employee in this company or as a startup founder trying to launch this thing, this solution that I'm working on does not yet exist in the world. So here's what I would do. I would build it this way, or I would design it that way, or I would integrate with XYZ product, and really try to be as helpful as possible to show that you care, to show that you're an industry expert, to show that you know what you're doing, but also have a little teaser in there to say, hey, I'm also working on something and I'd love to keep you updated once we go live.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely helpful. Plus, it also teaches you a lot of things to write for a blog, right? When it comes to writing content, you struggle with ideas of what to write about. But these conversations will help you feed you the list of things that you can talk about as a relevant problem for your customer, and that helps you with the content that is necessary to appeal to this audience.
Fantastic. Yeah. I love it. Krish, unfortunately, we've run out of time. I could nerd out on this kind of stuff all day long. But before we go, can you share any parting words of wisdom that you have for our audience, and then the best way that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye?
Sure. Self-promotion. So if you are launching a software as a service product or any recurring revenue business, check out Chargebee. So the website is chargebee.com and Twitter handle is @Chargebee, CHARGEBEE. And we have a fantastic launch plan to get started, which is first $50,000 of free tier of your first aggregate revenue is on us. So you don't have to pay to use the software. And then when your idea takes off, then you can start paying for the software, and that's paying it forward in some sense for us. And this works on top of Stripe, Braintree, and all the payment gateways. So personally, you can reach out to me at krish@chargebee.com. If you have questions about the software, you can also write to support@chargebee.com, and we'll be more than happy to help.
Well, Krish, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value the perspective of both an entrepreneur and a software developer who's working internationally, who's building products that help international folks, and who really cares about the customers enough to really get online and just talk to them and have conversations, and then also get on the call and talk to me and my audience. It's been a blast.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks, Chad.
You're welcome. Tech Pros, if you are launching your product, or if you are an employee who have thought about launching your own product or service, what it comes down to is an absolute just willingness to make it happen, right? So many times we think about, this idea is great, now it's horrible. This other idea has potential now, and we scratch it out. We scratch it out. So what I have learned recently in the last year is it's not so much about falling in love with the solution that you're providing. It's really about falling in love with the problem that you're working on and the area that you want to contribute to the world, right? So instead of a software as a service that helps XYZ, it's really about helping people solve this kind of challenge in their life or business. So if that interests you, if you haven't already started your own business, if you're not at the point where you're ready to call Krish and hook up Chargebee to your SaaS, but you really want to know more about how to connect with customers and how to get your business off the ground, I've got a free 7-day audio and email course to help you launch your first business at hellotechpros.com/start. That's hellotechpros.com/start. You've been listening to Krish Subramanian, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/252. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If this episode helped you out in any way, please leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you thought. iTunes reviews helps our rankings, which helps us grow the Hello Tech Pros podcast to a broader audience, which helps more technical professionals and techpreneurs build their career, build their products, and build their businesses. If you are a subscriber and get repeat value out of this show, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. The information on this podcast is free to everyone, but I'm giving you the opportunity to pay for the value you get out of it, starting as little as $1 a month. Pledge your support today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor.